Well, when the Warriors beat the Timberwolves last night, I thought Kylan Mills and I did a fantastic show, but there is just so much. Sorry, I just switched my audio input. I hope that sounds better. There's still just so much to cover. There's still so much going on. And there was even more information and more news today. Steve Kerr, following today's practice, answered questions from the media. The practice itself was open. So there's just a whole lot of stuff going on here. The Warriors have a big decision on the two-way players coming up. The Warriors have a decision to make regarding the buyout market. A new player has officially entered that market that I think the Warriors should be interested in. And I'm going to try to cover everything that's been going on from the end of last week until now. Let's break it all down next. I'm going to, of course, try to address everything going on in the chat. This is a live show, and this is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at Dog Surf Roadshow. And the program is on Twitter as well at Locked On Dubs. Again, the chat is open. It's a live show. Yes, I will obviously address Nerlens Noel's in just a second, given he is officially now available on the buyout market. Adrian Wojnarowski formally announcing that the Pistons and Noel's have come to an agreement. The timing could not be better, given March 1st, 2 days from now, is the deadline for a buyout market addition to be eligible for the postseason. So if the Warriors are going to add someone, they got to move fast. And obviously I'll talk about that in just a moment. I guess we can start with the two-way players. Look, Nerlens Noel's is available. And the question, of course, is, are the Warriors going to do anything about that? And he's not the only player available. Serge Ibaka, I've been mentioning his name for a while. He's lurking out there. Some people think he's washed. I think at 33 years of age, he still has some gas left in the tank. Again, you only need this player for 5 to 10 minutes. The Warriors need a David West type. He's been missing since he retired. I know they were fine last year. They survived without him, but they also had Otto Porter Jr. last year. And they don't have Otto Porter Jr. this year. They have virtually no bigs this year. Kevon Looney is your big. Draymond Green, thank the almighty, is okay. That was a huge a sigh of relief for everyone involved to learn that Draymond's going to be okay. But again, the team needs something. And Nerlens Noel's, even though he doesn't bring much offensively, defensively, he's exactly what they'd want, right? You want someone who's playing defense. And when we talk about defense, you're really talking about, in this case, shot blocking, the ability to switch. Nerlens Noel's is not a liability. If he's on the perimeter covering a smaller player. Is he ideal for a situation like that? No, but he's not a liability either. But one thing that's really frustrating, in my humble opinion, and Joe Williams says, play Patrick Baldwin Jr. Yeah, play him. I would love to see more PBJ. But PBJ is a rookie. I don't know how much you can run him in the postseason. We're talking about someone that, again, in the playoffs against a series where you're dealing with the Nuggets team that has a Nikola Jokic and they got Thomas Bryant. When you're dealing with the Clippers team that has Plumlee, that is Zubac, whatever the team is that the Warriors are going to be dealing with, whether it's the Grizzlies, whether it's the Mavericks, there are bigs to deal with. Patrick Baldwin Jr. is awesome. I do want to see him in the regular season. I want to see minutes from him. But I don't know if you're going to see PBJ, regardless of how well he plays in the regular season, in the postseason. And that's where the buyout market would help tremendously. And Retzel writes, we have scorers. We don't need scorers. You're absolutely right. The offense is spectacular this year. What they need is defense, and especially perimeter defense, which is where Gary Payne II, let's hope he comes back soon, can help with that. One thing that absolutely, I'm guessing, will eat at your craw as much as it ate in mine today is learning about James Wiseman. In his third game with the Detroit Pistons, he put up 23 points. He put up 7 rebounds, 4 of those offensive rebounds, and he went 9 for 11 from the field in just 27 minutes of play. What the hell happened there with him and Steve Kerr? how can Steve Kerr, how did Steve Kerr not look at that 7-1 physique? Someone who's, I mean, he's not an idiot. He's not a bad player, clearly. I mean, in just his third game with the Pistons, and by the way, every game that he's playing for him, there is a linear progression for James Wiseman. I'm very curious to see what he ends up doing. But how could the Warriors not need him? And you spent your second pick in the draft on him, and you end up trading him for a player you had last year. I would like some accountability there at some point. Bruce Morrow writes, we need Wiggins back too. You're absolutely right. And it is the Wiggins thing is very interesting, by the way, given the fact that there isn't that much attention being drawn to it. And I understand that this is probably a family matter. I think the Warriors have used that word. Don't quote me on that. But so people are respecting his privacy. But you got to start wondering, like, what's going on there. I mean, Wiggins has missed like 2 weeks now with a personal issue. I just really hope he's okay. But I will say this: there are reporters out there who are starting to get a little curious about what's going on with Wiggins, and I just hope he's fine. I don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on. But hopefully he comes back soon because his defense is sorely missed. I mean, he's an all-around fantastic player. He is severely missed. Bruce Morrow writing that he might be dealing with mental health. Very possible. It is absolutely a possibility. Whatever it is starting to get more and more interesting given the amount of time that he's missing. Nick Jay's writing that Andrew Wiggins' partner, I believe he's not married, so referring to whatever the title is for his partner, girlfriend, fiance, whatever it is. Nick, you're writing that his partner keeps posting pics of her and the kids on Instagram, but no Wiggins. Yeah, that's not a good look. But I don't want to make any assumptions to it. And then Red Soul writes was most likely the situation that Wiggins OD'd on Built Bars. Kidding, obviously. But let's hope Wiggins is okay. I want to play some sound though. There's going to be a lot of sound played tonight, and there's just a lot of going on with the Warriors. And the first soundbite I want to play is Steve Kerr. This was after the game last night, and Anthony Slater decided to ask Steve Kerr about what's going to happen with these two-way guys. I'm not going to focus on them too much tonight. I can hear myself annoying the ever-living you-know-what out of everyone, constantly hammering these two-way guys. I'm sorry. It's just, look, the Warriors are a defending world champion going for a repeat, and things are not going according to plan. They're a game above 500 right now, and that should not be the case. It's just everything that's going on right now should not be the case. There is a stink hovering over this team. And the one core difference between last year and this year are the two-way players getting substantial minutes, nearly 40 minutes a game between those two players. But they also are coming up on their eligibility being expired in the sense that as two-way players, they can only each play 50 games and then they're done. And for Anthony Lamb, I believe he only has 4 games remaining. For Ty Jerome, I think he has 11 games remaining. And Anthony Slater thankfully asked him about that. And let's hear what Kerr had to say when asked about what's going to happen with the two-way players.
Conversations like right now about, your open 15th spot and also your realization of how much you've been needing those guys.
Yeah, well, that realization happened a long time ago, So Lamb and Ty have been huge. They've helped us win a lot of games this year. Lamb does a whole lot of stuff that people don't recognize. He is one of our...
Let's stop that right there. Does Kerr think like we're idiots? Like, does Steve Kerr really think that the people, whether it's fans, whether it's media, whoever it is watching these games, is he that obtuse that he thinks that we're just simpletons and we're morons who don't see with their own two eyes what's going on here? How are these two helping you win games? Last time I checked the standings, and I'll look at them again, the Golden State Warriors at the 61 game mark are 31-30. They're 31-30. How is that translating to wins by nearly every measurable, whether it's defense, whether it's your third quarters, which I'm going to touch on in just a moment as well, because Kerr also relating to third quarters decided to insult anyone who watches the Warriors consistently by dismissing the fact that the team is struggling in third quarters. I don't know what's going on with Steve Kerr this year, but I'm sorry. These two players are not helping you win games. All right. You're a game above 500 at the 61 game mark. You're the defending world champions trying to repeat. Stephen Curry's not getting any younger. These two are not helping you win games. Okay, let's just get that clear. They're a 500 team. They were not a 500 team a year ago. And the core difference, again, are the two-way players. Let's continue on.
You know, he is one of us defenders in terms of coming over and rotating and understanding our coverages. And
let me hear that right. Anthony Lamb is one of the team's best defenders. Again, am I crazy? Am I like, I mean, what's Steve Kerr saying here? Like, does Steve Kerr really think that like everyone listening to this just doesn't know a thing about the game of basketball? Let's continue on with this absurd attribution.
In terms of coming over and rotating and understanding our coverages and hitting bodies, boxing out. He's a good passer, good three-point shooter. He hit the big one from the top of the key.
I need to add, by the way, the big one that he hit at the top of the key came after he'd missed 17 of his last 20 3-pointers. Lamb's three-point percentage is starting to revert back to his career average, which is closer to 35% than the 40% he's been at most of the year. Again, he had missed 17 of his last 23s. Granted, yes, that three-pointer was huge, but don't go talking like he's been doing that for a long time. He's been slumping for a while when it comes to threes.
He can play multiple positions. We played him as a small five. He and Kuminga have been a great combination this year. I think Lamb and Kuminga together opens up the game for Kuminga a little bit. So, yeah, Lamb is he's been really important. And Ty, you know, didn't shoot it well tonight, but 4 assists, 3 steals, no turnovers. That's kind of what Ty does. He's a very traditional point guard, and you know, he's had an amazing shooting year too. I think he's 50, 40, 90, you know, on the year with low volume, but the guy.
I'm glad he acknowledged that it's low volumes. Ty Jerome, people should not be bragging about 50, 40, 90 when you're shooting the ball like 3 times a game. Let me look at exactly what Ty Jerome is putting up here. And Ty Jerome, by the way, scored a whopping 2 points in that game, shooting 1 for 5 from the field. Anyways, let's continue on.
Guy's just a basketball player. So with our team this year, the makeup of the roster, the youth, the empty roster spot, Andre's absence, Ryan Rollins' surgery, we need the depth. And so those guys are good players, and they're helping us win games.
All right, so they're not helping you win games. And then one thing that was cut off there, that was courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area, that clip. I'm going to play you one more clip because that clip cut off the very end. And thankfully, Anthony Slater was recording as well. So here is end of that quote. The audio won't be as good, but hopefully you can hear it.
You know, ultimately that's Bob's decision. So Bob and I will have a conversation about that.
And that was in reference to what's going to happen with these guys, right? What's going to happen with Ty Jerome and with Anthony Lamb. Ty Jerome, by the way, again, for people bragging about the fact that he's a 50, 40, 90 player this year, I need to pull up his stats. Let me see if I can find that. I had this queued up. Oh, here it is. Okay, so he's putting up 5.6 shots per game. All right, that's not a lot, plain and simple. He's putting up 2 3-pointers a game. That's not a lot. All right, these are very low volume numbers, and he's shooting less than 1 free throw a game. He's averaging 0.9 free throws a game, yet you're going to brag about 50, 40, 90? I mean, come on, let's keep things in perspective here. His net rating is negative 5.2. Okay, that's a stat that's important because he's played enough games now for that number to bear some relevancy. Net rating is your impact on the court per 100 possessions, meaning for every 100 possessions that Ty Jerome is out there, the team is being outscored by 5.2 points. The only players worst are Patrick Baldwin Jr., JaMychal Green, and Ryan Rollins. That's it. So I don't mean to put a damper on that, but look, the two-way guys is insane. Now the question is, what's going to happen, right? Ty Jerome this year has played a whopping total of 39 games. That means he has 11 games remaining before a big decision is going to come to play here, right? Anthony Lamb has played in 47 games this year. He has 4 games remaining, right? Or did he play 46? Anthony Lamb has played 46. I apologize. So he has 4 games remaining, 47, 48, 49, 50. And the question is, what's going to happen at the end, right? We've been talking about this all season. That moment is finally coming. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the fascinating complexity of this whole thing, because Steve Kerr alluded to it right there at the end. He's going to talk to Bob Myers about it, but it's not Kerr's decision. It's Bob Myers' decision. James, by the way, comparing Ty Jerome to Sean Livingston, please don't do that. Sean Livingston, first of all, was 6'8", 6'9". Sean Livingston was a legitimate athlete, a lottery pick, a player who had proven himself plenty before he even came to the Warriors. That's absurd to compare Ty Jerome to Sean Livingston. Sean Livingston can play defense. That's really the biggest difference. But again, Sean Livingston brought size. Sean Livingston was 6'7", 6'8", who could play defense, right? That's really my main gripe with Ty Jerome, is that defensively he's a massive liability. But we'll talk about that and so much more in just a minute, because a huge decision is coming up, and I think Bob Myers needs to be eating his Built Bars if he's going to make the right decision. I mean, he's got to make a big choice here. This is huge. The Warriors are going for a repeat world championship, and Built Bars are yummy. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. Yet despite that, they only got 130 calories per bar on average, only 4 grams of sugar per bar on average, yet a whopping 17 grams of protein per bar. And the beauty of Built Bars, in my humble opinion, if you're trying to, not consume a lot of calories, it fills you up. Those 17 grams of protein make you feel full from eating one of those relatively small Built Bars. And that's because, again, 17 grams of protein, yet only 4 grams of sugar, which is horrible for you. You can order these either at Built.com, or you can now go to Walmart, where you can buy a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puffs, or you can go to Sam's Club and get a 13-bar box with brownie batter and churro. Go grab your Built Bar and thank me later.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Man, the Sean Livingston mention just alone riled up the chat. Yes, Sean Livingston is with the Warriors organization, in case people were asking. Man, and the Warriors really do miss Sean Livingston. He was just, what a great player he was for this team. But the question is, what's going to happen now, right? And we're really, I think, going to find out very soon which side of this weird little dispute Bob Myers is on between Steve Kerr and Joe Lacob. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that James Wiseman was Joe Lacob's boy. Joe Lacob, Bob Myers, and Steve Kerr, they will all tell you that this was a universal decision, right? If you go back to the 2020 draft, James Wiseman was available with the number 2 pick. They all collectively gave the green light. They'll all say that. But I think you could safely assume, based on recent actions, based on Kerr's words, based on the utter lack of playing time that Kerr would give James Wiseman, that this was much more Joe Lacob's boy. Now, the Bob Myers part of this equation has been a mystery. I honestly thought Myers was much more on Kerr's side. They have a close relationship. They do communicate very regularly. But given Bob Myers' recent comments a couple weeks ago following the Gary Payton II trade, I don't know what Bob Myers' true feelings are about all this, but we're going to find something out very soon. Does Bob Myers, is he going to support Steve Kerr and give Anthony Lamb a guaranteed deal? The fact that he hasn't given either of these players a guaranteed deal yet, in and of itself, speaks volumes, right? Because if they were all on the same page, if the Golden State Warriors, Bob Myers, Joe Lacob, Peter Gruber, if they all legitimately like these two-way players, don't you think they would have gotten a guaranteed deal by now? There is no good reason to wait until now, to wait until like the absolute last game they could play before making that decision. And it's also why I'm still holding out a little hope that the Warriors are going to attack the buyout market and grab someone. But Bob Myers' actions seem to indicate, at least to me, that they're not that into the two-way guys. Because again, if they were, they would have been offered a guaranteed deal by now. If Myers loved Ty Jerome, Patrick Beverley would not have been pursued. Kevin Pritchard would not have been pursued. And now we're going to find out if a player like Stanley Roberts, a player like Serge Ibaka, a player who just became available, Nerlens Noel, we're going to find out if they are important at all to Kerr or Myers. But one thing for certain, like the front office is not that high on these two-way guys. Thank goodness for that, because you all know how I feel about these two. So I in the chat real quick, obviously I saw a few things here that were kind of interesting. So first of all, Richard Sarpong writes, Myers is out. I don't subscribe to that. I said this on Larry Krueger's show, and I'll say it here. This might be the first time I'm saying it here, but I've had sources tell me that Myers, in all likelihood, is not going anywhere. And that most of what's going on in terms of his contract expiring has much more to do with negotiating tactics, with Myers maybe wanting more, whether it's money, whether it's control. I actually believe very strongly now that Bob Myers is staying. My big question mark is Steve Kerr. And I think we're going to have to wait until after the season to find out what happens there. Now, someone else wrote the reason why maybe the team is waiting to give a guaranteed deal to either Anthony Lamb or to Ty Jerome before making them a permanent part of the team. The reason why I don't subscribe to this saving money part, and right here, Femi wrote this, Femi Bamadel, is if Steve Kerr knew that was the case, I don't think there would be the gamesmanship of Lamb going to Santa Cruz and staying warm, holding him out for a certain amount of games. Like Kerr is very cautiously counting the amount of games each of these two players have played and picking and choosing when to bring him in. Rebel Sounds, I don't understand what this comment here is that you just wrote. It is the intrigue of the drama. Will Bob stay or will he leave? It is intriguing, that's for sure. But I really think he's going to stay. I'm actually very confident now that Bob Myers will stay and that Kerr might be out. But I think a lot of it depends largely on what the team does in the postseason. I will say this. James Wiseman scoring 23 points in just his third game with the Pistons, shooting 9 for 11 from the field. That's not a good look on Steve Kerr, because that was clearly a Steve Kerr decision, and certainly not Bob Myers. And talking about Mike Brown, there's a few people in the chat that saying Mike Brown dealt with the young players. I'm going to bring him up, interestingly enough, because Steve Kerr said another fascinating thing pertaining to third quarters that I want to touch on. And we're going to touch on that in just a moment after I give some love to LinkedIn. Look, in this day and age, some of you might be doing great economically. Some of you might be struggling. But regardless, LinkedIn is the absolute platform to go to, whether you're looking for work or whether you're looking for talent. I mean, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're looking for talent out there, you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1, given they have nearly 900 million users on their platform. And again, if you're looking for work, LinkedIn is the absolute place to go. But if you're a small business owner, or if you're someone who's leading a venture and you need the right people to be a part of the team, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find those qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Speaking of Larry Krueger, my good friend, he's the host of The Krug Show. He was filling in for Damon Bruce on the Warriors flagship station 95.7 The Game. And he was filling in on a day when Steve Kerr was the guest. And believe me, I talked to Krueger a lot about this. In terms of the questions to ask, and Krueger really came through. And one of the questions that he asked Kerr was pertaining to the team's third quarter struggles this year. I'll let you hear what Kerr had to say about that.
I'm glad you mentioned the third quarter because I really wanted to ask you about it. I mean, if you go back and look at third quarter differential whole run with the Warriors that you've been through, I mean, you guys have led the NBA in third quarter differential almost every year outside of, 2020, which was a down year. We all know why. But last year, you guys were plus 2.7 or plus 2.7, led the NBA in third quarter differential. This year, you guys are minus 0.3. It's 20th out of 30 teams. Is there anything that you can point to as why this team struggles now this year in the third quarter for the first time in years?
Well, we're not the same team, so it's a different team, so everything's different.
Sure.
But if you're one game under 500 versus being whatever we were last year, probably 15 games over 500, you're probably worse in every quarter. I think the third quarter stuff from a few years ago, that was really, you're talking about a veteran team, and with guys, Hall of Fame players in their prime, who could figure out, to lock down at, a couple halftime adjustments and, maybe a mental shift and all right, it's time to go. It's time to put this team to bed. And, but that's not the team we are anymore. We're older. And so, we've got guys missing more often. We're also younger. So we've got guys who are, learning and growing, and it's all part of the process for this particular team. So, every team's different, and I believe in our guys. I know we can get there, but we've just got a lot of work to do.
So there you go. That was Kerr's answer. Interesting that he would, to a certain extent, throw his veterans under the bus, saying they're older now. I do agree, Richard Sarpong, that his answer seems patronizing. There is a condescension to a lot of his answers here. But do you know what the difference is between last year's team and this year's team? The two-way players are getting a lot of minutes. Whereas last year, those minutes were going early in the season to Andre Iguodala, who, by the way, should not be on this team right now, taking him to a roster spot. That's kind of a joke. It is a joke at this point. They had Gary Payton II getting a decent amount of minutes. You had guys like Damian Lee. Now you have the two-way players, and you have Donte DiVincenzo. That's the difference. But the fact that Steve Kerr failed to recognize that in 2021, the team that finished 39-33, the team that was 33-33 before Stephen Curry lit it up at the end of the season with a 6-game winning streak, to secure the 8th seed. Unfortunately, they couldn't get out of the play-in. That team was 4th in the NBA in terms of third quarter differential. The only two teams that really struggled in terms of third quarter production during this dynasty was 2020. And again, 2020 was a complete wash. And this year they are 20th out of 30 teams, 2-0 out of 3-0 in terms of third quarter differential. In the Timberwolves game, for example, they were outscored 30-19 in the third quarter. It took them coming back in the fourth, outscoring Minnesota 31-17 to hang on in a close game that finished 109-104. My point is, Steve, your team has been good almost every year during this dynasty, except for 2020 when the team was abysmal, and this year, when what the hell is going on? I don't think anyone knows. By the way, I do want to give Retzel, I do want to give you some acknowledgement that I will apologize to you if this Warriors team wins a title with the roster they have now. I absolutely will. I hope they win regardless. I think they could win regardless. I am not ruling this Warriors team out by any regard. I'm not giving up on them. My frustration comes to the fact this team could be a lot better than it is. Like Kerr, for some reason, is just making things a lot harder than they should be. And that answer is dense. That is a very obtuse answer. And that's a lot of the answers that Kerr is giving is just incredibly dismissive of the audience who's listening to these answers, disparaging people, treating them like they have no idea what they're watching in this game. A lot of us do, Steve. I'm sorry. A lot of us do. And a lot of us are paying very close attention. And a lot of us are blatantly seeing like just really questionable decisions being made this year. It's insane. So I don't understand that answer that he gave regarding the third quarters. And what that tells me, what that reveals to me more than anything else, is that Mike Brown and Alvin Gentry were largely responsible for these halftime adjustments. I've been going to bat for Steve Kerr for I don't know how many years, because this is the first time in Steve Kerr's tenure that I've been really critical of him, right? And I think it's rightfully so. A lot of people in previous years have been down on Steve Kerr for a lot of various reasons. One of my biggest defenses of Steve Kerr, if that's proper grammar, is the fact that the team was coming out in third quarters, making these brilliant adjustments. The foresight and the subtle changes he was making were profound, and you saw it in the results on the court. I'm not seeing that this year at all. On a route, the Warriors right now are being outscored in third quarters this season, and that really gives credence to the notion that Mike Brown was very responsible for a lot of this team's success entering this season. I'm not seeing a lot of focus on Jama Malalela, who Scott Ostler months ago subtly mentioned in a column that Malalela is responsible for the rotations and the minute distribution. If that's the case, you need to reevaluate your coaching staff in terms of the responsibilities. That was kind of crazy. Totes and Goats, you're sitting here saying that no one else agrees with me that Moody should be playing more? I mean, and not to mention, what is this, a popularity contest? I'm not subscribing to that. I don't care what the majority of people think. That's not how I roll. I see what I see, and Moses Moody is someone with a 7'1" wingspan, someone who, until Kerr started taking him out of games, no one was criticizing him. But you and a lot of other people apparently are Steve Kerr apologists who just worship his every decision, and whatever he says, you apparently believe is fact. I don't roll like that. I'm sorry. Moses Moody is not a bad player. If Moses Moody was playing consistent minutes for this team, even 15 a night, they are not worse than 31 and 30 this year. I guarantee you that. I bet my life on it. That's how confident I am. That is absurd that no one agrees with me. And never mind the fact that I don't care how many people agree or disagree with me. If you actually understand the game of basketball, you understand the fact that this team's struggles are defense, and Ty Jerome does not play defense at all. Anthony Lamb, even if he is hustling as a defensive player with a 6'5" average wingspan, 6'5" in height and an average wingspan, is not shutting down 6'8", 6'9", 7-foot players who all they have to do is just stand there and shoot over him. You see that all the time. So look, if you're trying to bait me with that, congratulations, you got a response. But it's absurd to sit here and criticize Moses Moody. No one was criticizing him until Steve Kerr started taking his minutes away and DNPing him. Then you have a lot of people who, just because Steve Kerr says it or does it, you just immediately believe it and worship it. That's not how I roll. I'm sorry. Moses Moody should be playing over two-way players, okay? Agree to disagree if you don't buy into that notion. One thing, well, dude, I mean, Toast, you're coming. I mean, you're asking me to chill, but then you're coming out like literally just, attacking me. I mean, I'm not going to chill if you attack me, dude. I don't know what you're thinking there. I do want to shift gears real quick because Steve Kerr, following today's practice, did talk about Jordan Poole, which has been a player that has been a point of contention for a lot of people. And again, we'll just have to agree to disagree in regards to Moody being better than the two-way players. I think he's profoundly better than the two-way players, but agree to disagree. I mean, if you don't agree with me, so be it. But Jordan Poole has been in the news a lot. And a huge reason for that is because his turnovers are up this year and his shooting percentages are down this year. As I mentioned before, Jordan Poole this season is shooting on the year approximately 3 percentage points less when it comes to three-point shooting than a year ago. Last year, for example, he was in the 36% range shooting from three, more specifically 36.4. This season, he's shooting 33% from three. It's a decline. Now, the good news is 33% is not awful. In fact, 33% is the Mendoza line for good versus bad three-point shooting, simply because 33% shooting from three is the equivalent of 50% shooting from two. And if you're a 50% field goal shooter, that's good. That's actually fantastic. That's great. Keep doing what you're doing. So if you're shooting 33% from three, same premise. You're fine. You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. So even though Jordan Poole's shooting numbers are down a little bit, again, 33% this year, 36.4% last year. His overall field goal percentage is down a click. Last year was 44.8% he was shooting. This year he's at 43.2. It's a very minor regression. Really what sticks out are the turnovers, because last year he was at 2.5 and this year he's up to 3.3. That's a number you'd like to see go down a little bit, but his scoring average is also at 20.7, which is solid. If you're scoring over 20 points a game, you are doing something right. And I have to mention this again, because again, so many people are hating on Jordan Poole. He was the sixth man for a world championship team. So I do have a little faith in the guy, and his assist numbers are not bad at all. They've actually gone up. Last year he averaged 4 assists per game. This year he's up to 4.6. His steal numbers are exactly the same. He's averaging the same personal fouls as a year ago. He's also playing almost the exact same minutes as a year ago. 30 last year, 30.7 this year. Steve Kerr today decided to have a sit down with Jordan Poole, and I want to play the soundbite real quick. Jason Dumas of Cron 4 posted this, so I want to give him credit for publishing this video. The soundbite is courtesy of the Warriors during their press conference today. So here's Steve Kerr talking about Jordan Poole, about how he had a one-on-one with him today. The video, again, courtesy of Jason Dumas. For those watching on YouTube, this is the footage of Steve Kerr talking with Jordan Poole, and here's Steve Kerr actually talking about that discussion.
My experience is that it's a lot easier to coach people when you know them and they know you. And so for me, at this point, it's really easy to coach Steph and Klay and Draymond because we've been together almost a decade and we know each other so well. So it's important for me and all of our staff to really, connect with these guys, and that doesn't happen overnight.
So so there was Steve Kerr talking about relationships with his players. Again, I wish he would have, spent some of that energy on James Wiseman. Would be nice if he spent some of that energy on Moses Moody. Would be nice if he had some confidence in Moses Moody and played him. And again, Amar saying the 50-40-90, we covered this early in the show. You're bringing that stat up when he averages less than one free throw a game. So, Fable, you're right. Ty Jerome is a cone on defense. He's awful defensively. The problem with this team as a whole is defense. I don't mind the Ty Jerome minutes that much when Draymond Green is out. That's the only time you will not hear me complain that much about it, simply because with Draymond also out, that's another point guard that you've just lost in addition to Steph Curry. So I can understand Kerr wanting him more so with Draymond out, and you've seen the minutes go up even more. But when Draymond's there, I see no need for Ty Jerome, but I digress. So there was Steve Kerr talking about Jordan Poole. And again, he's been a point of contention. He's been a little polarizing this year. I personally have faith in him. I think he's going to be fine. And again, progress is not always linear. It's not always going to go up like this. Sometimes you're going to see a little parabolic curves in there, and that's what Jordan Poole is doing. So I think he's going to be okay. Let's see what's going on in the chat here real quick before we move on. And Amar saying Nerlens Noel, if you missed it at the beginning, I would love him. I would absolutely love him. I mentioned Nerlens Noel is still out there. Serge Ibaka is still out there. Stanley Johnson's still out there. I've seen some other names out there. When I see people throw other names like Hassan Whiteside, I forgot another name that I saw in the chat earlier. I'm seeing all of it. The reason why I mentioned those three specific players is because I'm just very confident that the Warriors are not going to add a player who is stiff, meaning they bring size, like Hassan Whiteside, for example. Like, he brings size, he'll get you rebounds, he might be able to bang it a little bit with other bigs, but he's a massive liability offensively. The Warriors are just not going to add a player like that. If Nerlens Noel's, I have some faith in, just because he's exemplary defensively. Like, he's an athletic big. He can switch defensively. Hassan Whiteside and a player like him is not going to be able to switch defensively in the perimeter. So I could see maybe against Stanley Roberts is very ideal. Serge Ibaka can switch. He can hit the corner three. Supremacia writes Marquise Chris, who's formerly with the team. But again, he's someone else who's also very one-dimensional. He doesn't bring much offensively. If catching lobs and dunking it was enough, James Wiseman would still be on this team, but it's not. And if Marquise Chris, I feel like if he would have been brought back, it would have happened a long time ago. So I don't think the Warriors are going to add him. I would not mind it personally. And Falcon 13 Eyes writes, thinking of buyouts is a waste of time. They're worthless. I'd say it depends. Like the Suns just added what was it, Terrence Ross? I don't think that was a waste of a buyout player. It just depends on the player. Russell Westbrook might be a disaster for the Clippers. He also might be the difference for the Clippers. We'll see. And yeah, I do agree, Kevin McClain, though, that they're not going to add a buyout. I don't think that's going to happen. They're just going to roll with what they have. I don't like the decision, but you folks out there who are saying that the Warriors are not going to add a player in the buyout, you're probably correct. One player who has been fantastic lately, there's actually two of them. I want to finish on a more positive note. I'm going to first talk real quick about Donte DiVincenzo, who has been exemplary. And for all the criticism of Steve Kerr I've been giving lately, one kudos I want to give Steve Kerr is the minute increase he has given to Donte DiVincenzo. That is awesome. And Steve Kerr talked about Donte DiVincenzo in terms of what he brings to the team, which is everything. So here's Steve Kerr talking about Donte DiVincenzo
on both ends, and even winning that last jump ball, he just seems to have a knack for doing the right thing.
He's a winner. I mean, Final Four MVP at Villanova. I think he won 2, didn't he? Did he win 2 championships there and another one in Milwaukee? I mean, he's been around winning his whole life. And what I love about Donte is he just fills up the box score. He's not, just a shooter or a playmaker or a defender. Like, he's everything. He just brings it every game. Huge energy, great competitive desire, and relentless. He's really fun to coach, Donte.
I can imagine. I'm guessing he must get a rush from Donte DiVincenzo is a perfect Golden State Warrior. Retzel writes, or not Retzel, I'm sorry. Amar Singh writes, Donte DiVincenzo and Gary Payne II would be a really fun backcourt. Hell yeah. When Gary Payne II comes back, and again, it's a huge mystery in terms of the when of that. Again, it's just fascinating and wild to me that 1 minute Gary Payne II is playing for the Portland Trailblazers, and then he comes to the Warriors, and now he's out for who knows how long. The whole thing is fishy. It reeks. And I do hope the Warriors get some sort of compensation from Portland for the shiesty moves and the shiesty actions on Portland's behalf. But when Gary Payne II is back, I mean, they're going to have lineups like DiVincenzo and GP2. That's just going to be a lethal defensive backcourt. You're going to have lineups where Jordan Poole will have GP2 beside him, and all of a sudden Jordan Poole isn't going to have to worry nearly as much about defense. I really cannot wait for GP2. Talk about a wild card, and hopefully he comes back sooner than later. But man, that's, if there is ever any reason for hope that the Warriors can still pull off a title this year, he is it. And for the people saying that Donte DiVincenzo is probably gone after this year, you might be right. I still need to determine what the limitations are. My understanding is the Warriors are going to be in a situation with DiVincenzo similar to the situation that the Bucks were with Bobby Portis, where they couldn't offer him a big deal the following year because of a lack of bird right. I forgot what the deal is. I got to do my research on that. But there is a possibility he's going to be gone unless the Warriors can assure him and kind of do like a hush-hush, handshake deal similar to what the Bucks did with Bobby Portis, where they tell him, we'll give you that big deal. Okay, you just have to be patient and trust us. Unless that happens, yeah, he's probably gone after this year. Hey, Kevin, that's not very nice, man. No surprise. I don't know. I know. I come at you with like 99.9% of the information you need. I just forgot, and I will find that information soon, Kev. You, Richard. So yeah, I hope Donte DiVincenzo comes back, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I two more things, and then we'll wrap the show up here. One is switching gears from one positive, which is Donte DiVincenzo. Real quick, his minutes have gone up, as I mentioned. He is now the last 2 games. He's played 35 minutes, a win against the Rockets, 38 minutes in a win against the Timberwolves. I am all for that. Thank you so much, Steve Kerr, for because I've been advocating on the show for months that DiVincenzo's minutes should go up. On the season, he's averaging a total of 25.6 minutes per game. That number should be at least 30. So give him 5 more minutes. Hell, give him 10 more minutes. Again, in the Rockets game, 35 minutes. In the Timberwolves game, 38 minutes. Good things happen when Donte DiVincenzo plays. And that's always been my answer in terms of the Ty Jerome minutes. People have asked me, well, like if Ty Jerome doesn't play 17 minutes a game, who are you going to give those minutes to? DiVincenzo's one of them. DiVincenzo's averaging 25 minutes a game. Make that 35. And those other 7 minutes, you can easily find other players, whether it's Jermichael Green, whether it's Kuminga. Kuminga should be playing more minutes as well, in my humble opinion. But kudos to Donte DiVincenzo. Another player who's been lighting it up. The reason why the Warriors have won their last 2 games primarily is Klay Thompson. And this is Kerr talking about how Klay's been impacting the team from a leadership perspective. Here's Kerr.
Off of Klay, it really seemed like tonight he was more vocal, feeding off the crowd, encouraging the crowd. A third game in 4 nights that he's been continuing to shoot the ball well. Do you feel like you've seen maybe more growth from him as far as being a leader and being put in a situation he hasn't really had to put him before? What have you seen from him as far as his emotion?
Yeah, Klay is really stepping up on the leadership front. He's been more vocal. He's encouraging the guys. I think he recognizes that he is much needed in that role with all of our guys out. So he's done a great job with him.
Off of Klay, it really seemed like tonight.
Sorry about that. That went along there. So, and Klay Thompson has been absolutely stepping it up with Draymond, Steph, Wiggins. And again, the Wiggins thing is particularly concerning. I mean, he's been gone for a while now. This has not been just 1 game, 2 games, even 3 games. I mean, this has been at least 2 weeks now where he's been out. So I really hope Andrew Wiggins is okay. His presence is everything in terms of this team competing for a repeat world championship. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Supremacia. I already talked about James Wiseman with the 23.7 rebounds today. Not a good look for Kerr, just to bring that up again. Not a good look at all. And Kevin McClain, who's talking all this smack. Well, do you know what the answer is? I guess, in regards. I mean, do you want to enlighten us? Since you're apparently smarter than everyone else who's here today, can you want to write in the chat what exactly is the situation with Donte DiVincenzo? Because I feel like what you're implying is the Warriors don't have full bird rights on him. And so, well, I'm curious. I actually want to know. I want to see if Kevin McClain is going to enlighten us here. And then when I do my research, if it actually stands up. But my understanding, if I'm correct on this, and again, I will do my research. I will figure it out. We'll do it again, Kevin. God damn it! Why do you have to be such a pain in the ass? If they don't have bird rights, then yes, they're going to need cap space to sign him. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it's a bird right / salary cap thing. So what that means is that, so what's the increase he's going to get? I think they can offer him like a 10% increase or a 15% increase, and then 2 years from now is when they'll have the full bird rights. The Warriors were very smart with Gary Payne II. They circumvented that issue because they signed him right after the cutoff date, so that they were able to offer Gary Payne II closer to 10, 11 million a year, which did not happen because they didn't want that. So it doesn't matter. So anyways, so one last note and then we'll be done. I want to play this video from the Golden State Warriors. This is a lighthearted one, and I feel like it'll be great to end the show in a laughing matter. The Warriors made this video and where the players were asked who would be the worst babysitter on the team. If you've seen this already, my apologies, but if you have not seen this again, the Warriors players were asked who would be the worst babysitter on the team, and the replies, in my humble opinion, are hilarious.
The worst babysitter on the team would probably be Klay Thompson. About halfway through, he might forget that there's a baby he's responsible for.
I would probably say, gosh, that is a great question. The worst babysitter?
Klay.
He would forget that he was actually babysitting.
Oh man, that's funny. I don't want to offend anybody.
No question, Klay Thompson.
I would probably say great. Probably worse. Gosh, that's a great question. Can't be one of the older guys because they all have children and they're very good fathers. So I would assume it would be Jonathan Kuminga. Tends to be forgetful sometimes, and you can't be forgetting somebody's lunch or nap time. And I'd say JK. Sorry, JK.
Probably JK.
I wouldn't trust Kuminga to watch my kids, so I'm gonna say JK. He like to have too much fun.
This sounds right. We thought you the right thing to say.
All right, so there you go. So Klay Thompson would thrown under the bus by almost all his teammates. He is a space cadet sometimes. You see it on the court, unfortunately, every now and again. I feel like the only time he plays bad defense is when he's spacing out. And then Jonathan Kuminga getting some strays as well, but the kid's only 20, so that makes a little more sense. All right, folks, that is it. We went very long, a 50-minute show. There was just too much to cover. I had to play catch up. Hopefully we caught up. I will end the show on this. I still think the Warriors have an excellent shot at winning the championship. They're probably not going to go and pursue anyone in the buyout market. Maybe it won't be needed. We'll see. For the folks out there who say in Kerr we trust, we're going to find out. But for the immediate future, I'm very curious, because this decision is going to reveal a lot, what the Warriors do with these two-way players in terms of either giving them a guaranteed deal, or just letting them play their 50 and then saying peace, adios. We'll see what happens. But tomorrow night, Zena Kate is going to join me post game. This is right after the Warriors and Trailblazers game. That should be a doozy. The Portland's played the Warriors tough this year, and pretty much every game from here on out has that must-win feeling to it. So we'll see what happens. But tomorrow night, Zena Kate and myself will do a recap of the Trailblazers game. Kevin Dana is going to be on the show Wednesday. And then, the rest of the week will, play out as it does. All right, folks, thank you so much for jumping in. Your participation always means the world. That's it. Yeah. See you all tomorrow night. Later.